WW7CNA disconnected.
Good evening. This is the Western Washington Amateur Television Society net on the 08 machine. I'm Dave, WW7ATS. The Western Washington Amateur Television Society is a group of amateur radio enthusiasts that take to the airways with fast scan television. We have a repeater located up on Cougar Mountain. We transmit on 70 centimeters. It's a crossband repeater and spits out images at 1.2 gigahertz. To find out more about the Western Washington Amateur Television Society, Google WW7ATS. That's Google WW7ATS. That'll take you to our homepage where you'll find the frequencies we transmit on, a little bit of the history of our club, and also you'll find a link there that takes you to YouTube where we stream our nets held on Wednesdays and Saturdays between 8 and 9 o'clock. Also, we'd like to thank the SeaTac Repeater Association for letting us use WW7STR's repeater 14708 with a specific tone of 103.5 for our nets. So with that, I'll pause in case anybody has emergency traffic or needs to make a contact with anybody on the 08 machine before our net gets fully underway. Again, this is Dave, WW7CYM. Hearing none, again, welcome to the Western Washington Amateur Television Society net. I'm Dave, WW7CYM. Checked in already via video link is Ron, KD7QKU, Bob, K9PQ, Richard, K7ITX, Jim, N7QO, and myself, Dave, KD7CYM. Is there anybody else who would like to check in?
Good evening, Dave. James, WW7N in Northeast Bellevue.
WW7N, welcome to the net. Well, let's start the net off to the top with Ron, KD7QKU.
Okay, good evening to the group. This is Ron, KD7QKU. Well, Dave, I was going to ask you before we got started, but I forgot. You had some ransomware. You can tell us how that came out. So anyway, he's got his thumb up. I guess that was okay. I guess he paid the ransom. It was probably $1 million. Huh? Well, let's see. Trying to think what I did Monday. Not sure what I did Monday, but Tuesday. Oh, Monday was my birthday. That's what happened. Monday was my birthday. So Doug and Phyllis, Joanne's sister and brother-in-law, we went down to the Ram restaurant for lunch, which is down here on the water, not too far away. It was a little bit cool. I like to sit outside, and so they because it was my birthday, they honored my wishes. We all sat outside, but I think Joanne and Phyllis probably froze to death. Probably Phyllis the most. She was kind of. We were under an umbrella. She was kind of in the shade. Joanne and Doug, they had their backs in the sun, but probably should have went inside. But the food was good, conversation was good, view was good. There was a military boat came in, so I have the same app on my phone that Lee encouraged me to get it once upon a time. You can look at it and it tells you what it is. So it was an Army logistics boat or something. I think maybe it stays here in Tacoma, for all I know. But it was unusual. We knew it wasn't a container ship or anything, and it was painted a different color and stuff. So we did that, and then on Tuesday, I decided that I wanted to reroute my coax from my ATV antenna. So when I first put it up, I used that hard line, and it was 65 feet long, and I had hard line all over the backyard, and I couldn't, bring it up through the floor, so I had to put a pigtail on the end of it. So I had a 6 or 8 foot pigtail on the end of it. I don't know exactly what kind of coax that was. So anyway, I bought a new piece. I can't remember if it was, was it 513 that we have, or LMR 400, I don't remember which, but I bought something that was kind of low loss, 50 foot piece. So I rerouted the cable. Instead of going to the corner of the house, I went directly to the bedroom, above the bedroom window, because that's where the machine sits, and then goes up through the floor, so I could shorten the coax quite a bit, and it would look much neater. So anyway, I tipped it over and had Joanne come out and hold it after I disconnected it from the eave of the shed, and I let it down and worked just fine, and I changed the coax, and I had her come out, and I lifted it up, and then she held it while I climbed the ladder and secured it with a clamp to the eave of the building again. And then I had rerouted all the coax, and I eliminated some pieces that I had added on to the end of everything. Got rid of some coax fittings and pieces and everything. So when I was all done, I was going to test it and see, I assumed the picture would be about the same. I didn't expect it to be any different, but the installation is much cleaner. Well, I must have wiggled the wire loose because it didn't want to work. So I was tired. It was about 4:30, and I didn't want to do it anymore. So I'll have to go in there one of these days and turn it around and try to figure out what I pulled loose. So that's what I did yesterday. So I guess with that, back to net. KD7QKU, back to net.
QKU, let's go on to Bob, K9PQ and Bottle.
Okay, good evening, guys. I'm checking how everything's working with the green screen. Looks okay. Well, happy birthday, Ron. That's great. It's kind of too bad you were having problems with the cabling. I'm afraid I was trying to do too much here, and I didn't get exactly what it was. But I'll see you next time around. And I did have a question about the app for the ship. I thought that was really cool. If you could share what app that is, the next time around, maybe that would be nice. I think I'd like to get that app. So for myself, yeah, I've been doing some more FT8, and I haven't got out very well, but I heard a couple of interesting stations. I heard one that was from Australia, which I've been getting on Whisper, but for FT8, that was the first time getting to Australia, and I was really excited about that because it was a pretty strong signal, but it apparently faded quickly, and he never heard me. So unfortunately, that one didn't happen. And the other one was really interesting. I didn't even know this existed. The call sign is 4 Uniform 1 Whiskey Bravo. 4 Uniform 1 Whiskey Bravo. It is a United Nations call sign. And this one happened to be the Whiskey Bravo. It was the World Bank. Oh, what's happening?
He's a mute. It's internet's coming in.
You say it again?
James, mute his Zoom. It's feedback. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. I thought that was for me. Yeah, so it's the WB in that call sign is for World Bank. It is a United Nations call sign out of Washington, D.C. Unfortunately, they also didn't hear me, so I didn't register a contact with them, but I heard them fine. I heard them calling out CQ a number of times, and I just thought that was very cool. So kind of neat. I didn't even know United Nations call signs existed, but it was pretty cool to hear that one, or see it pop up on my screen, I guess technically is what I should say. Yeah, I'm also interested to hear about this ransomware, Dave, so we'll find out when we get around to you. Back to net, K9PQ.
Thank you. Let's go on to Richard, K7ITX.
Okay, well, right after our net on Saturday night, Ron and I just picked up right with the Mariners game, which turned out to be pretty exciting. They lost, but it was still really fun. And then Ron woke me up and wanted to know the next morning if I was watching the Seahawks, and yeah, I told him I was, so he didn't really wake me up. Just sounds funny if I say that. and that was a real barn burner. All I can say is the Seahawks won in overtime, and it was just I wouldn't call it I don't know. It was just quite a finish. I can't say that so much for Russell Wilson, our former player that was with the Seahawks. He had a Hail Mary completion, which looked like it might, in the last minute tie the game, except they had to score a 2-point after touchdown conversion, and he just threw it 60 yards and completed it, so what's 2 yards? Well, 2 yards is, you gotta do it, and they didn't do it. So Russell Wilson is now still a loser. He's no wins and 2 losses so far. I can't say that I feel too sad. He's laughing all the way to the bank, so that's how that goes. For me, I happen to come at the end of Sunday, Monday morning. I find myself in our fantasy league semifinals. So I beat my sister by Sunday night last week. Sunday night is the end of our week, and so I beat her. So now I'm playing the old buddy down the street that I grew up with as kids, who believe it or not, he beat me by 0.3 of a point out of 800 once this year. And so, well, anyway, we're in this semifinals together, and so started out where I was a tiny bit ahead, maybe by about 5 points Monday night, and then Tuesday he was 35 points. But now, as I look at it, he doesn't have anybody left to play. I still got two really good players, Mookie Betts and James Oatman for the Dodgers. They're still playing, and I'm ahead by 28 points. So I will be ahead by the evening, and so it's getting pretty exciting. I'd love to be in the finals. I think that would just, if I can get in the final, but then if I get in the finals, I'm sure my son is going to be in the finals, and he's just been cleaning everyone's clock lately. You know, as I'm trying to strategize this morning on how I'm going to approach these next few games to win the semifinals, I get a call from my sister, and she told me that our mom has quit swallowing. She's in the hospice, just went into hospice a few days ago, and so, oh my, you go from one thing, I don't know whether they call that from the fire into the frying pan, or the frying pan, and I guess this is more like the fire, and so, gosh, what about all the paperwork? I'm the attorney in fact, POA, and, so have I done everything correctly? Well, yeah, I guess so, but still there's, I didn't expect, gosh, you just went in to hospital. You hear about people going for weeks and months. Well, can it be just a day or two now? I don't know. It's horrible to think about, and I'm totally ill prepared. So yeah, I got my work cut out for me in the morning. So, and then right from that into a 20-minute discussion with my pulmonologist in downtown Manhattan, amongst 200 to 400 other people. I don't know. Whenever I raise my hand, I don't know what it is about me, but he picked me, and we had a 20-minute discussion in front of 300 people, and I love it, though. I mean, God, nothing like getting personalized assistance from a worldwide expert. I've got 2 worldwide experts now, and I'm just making nothing but great progress. So you guys are going to have me around for a while, I'm pretty sure. So, and oh God, I don't know. There's a couple other things that have happened, and I just ran out of time. K7ITX back to net control.
ITX. Let's see if Jim's with us. N7QO in Covington.
N7QO, thank you, Dave. Good evening, everyone. Wow. Oh yeah, that's another question. When it's your turn, Bob, what is that I'm looking at? I see I don't have a lot of resolution. It looks like a little block of Lego in the middle of the screen, and then on the right, maybe, I don't know, maybe a couple of relays. Is that possibly your antenna tuner or something? Let us know what that is, if you would, please. Ron, happy birthday. And yeah, I go along with Bob. Let us know what the app is for the boats there. That sounds like that might be useful to have. And rerouting the coax. Wow. Yeah, someone once said that putting things together can go more quickly than dismantling things. But when you try to do both at the same time, well, it doesn't always work out exactly. So, good luck with that. I'm sure you'll find something. It's just a whole lot of work to do all at once. Bob, back with the FT8 and Whisper. Good for you. I envy you on that. And United Nations, yeah. I was not aware of that either. I looked it up on my magic cheat sheet that I have here in the shop, and yeah, 4 U's are United Nations. Let's see, Dick, Seahawks game. Was that the game where the fellow, it was tied, and then the fellow hit the pylon with the ball? I wasn't sure if that was going to count as a touchdown or not. If that was the game you're talking about, I was watching that, but they counted it. So good for the Hawks. And Mom in hospice. Sorry about that. Hospice can go either way. Some people live a long time. Some people go on hospice and then come off of it, and then go on it and then come off of it, and they could do that several times. And sometimes they go on it and they're short for this world, and sometimes the illness catches up to them before they even have an opportunity to be put on hospice. So we'll be praying for her, and hope it all goes well. Yeah, not being able to swallow is pretty important, to be able to swallow. And your pulmonologist, well, good that he was able to help you there, and I think even more than that, your experience shared with others can probably help some people. Some people may not have even been aware of certain things, but just listening to your experience maybe cued them in on something. So that's a good thing. Back to you, Dave, and 7QO.
7QO, get an ID here, and this is the Western Washington Amateur Television Society net on the 08 machine. I'm Dave, KD7ZYM. Let's go to James, WW7N in Bellevue.
Well, thank you very much. WW7N here in Bellevue. And Richard, I wish you all the best in dealing with what's probably going to be a difficult situation no matter what. Just remember to eat and sleep. I had to remind a relative of that at one point. And last time people were asking me what was the status of the battle of the critters, the animals that were getting under my house. I don't know. Maybe I trained one to stay out of my house because the trap was tripped once, but nothing was in it. And so then I reset the trap, and nothing has come back or disturbed it since. So I'm wondering, they're fairly intelligent, and my neighbor and I both haven't heard anything. So we're wondering if maybe something was looking around for a place to live and decided the Greenbelt was much safer. I hope that's the case, because it's always upsetting. That we threw out last time, I recall, was what was the size of the first hard drive you ever bought? Well, for me, it was 10 megabytes, 10 megabytes. And I probably gave it away or did something with it, because if I had it today, that might actually be kind of a collector thing. I guess Wade would be the expert on this. But, a 10 megabyte hard drive was actually kind of small in the, 1986 time frame. But I bought it because they were so cheap. Someone had a whole pile of them, and who wanted it even back then, a 10 megabyte drive? So I bought it because I was just trying to get an 8088 PC to work. So I got it to get off the floppy drive. So 10 megabytes. Does anybody remember a drive that small? I wish you the best of luck in cabling. It seems like whenever I do something major on a car, I always manage to break two things after I fix one thing. I've got to decide what to do with the truck that seems to have that problem a lot. It's from 1987, so I think it's past its useful service life. To get it really serious again, I think I'd have to really rebuild it from headlight to tail light. I'm not sure I want to put that much time into it. Last time I tried to take it out, I found out that the alternator no longer charges the battery. So the engine, it's a hybrid. It's a 1987 hybrid car because the internal combustion engine spark plugs fire completely off the battery. The alternator is out of the picture, and I have no idea why. There's a fusible link hiding somewhere in there, but I can't find it. Bob, it sounds like you're FT8. You're going to be the FT8, the most experienced person in the group. That sounds great. I didn't know the UN had call signs either. That's pretty marvelous. And I made my guess as to what the picture was. And that was, as you have stated, a consultant's answer that was absolutely correct and totally worthless. But yes, I'm going to stick with it. It's a box with a large heat sink in the middle of it. That's exactly what it is. So you'll have to tell us what it does. And so with that, this is James, WW7N. Let me turn it back to Dave, KD7ZYM, on net control for the Western Washington Amateur Television Society.
WW7N, this is Dave, KD7ZYM in Lake City. Oh my, beautiful weather today, this evening, 55 degrees here in Lake City. Well, today I got together with Kingston Bill, KC5, WFH, and Lee, N7KC from PA in Edmonds at Rory's for lunch. And oh man, we haven't seen each other together for a couple of years. It was kind of neat to have a face-to-face meeting and see what was going on. So that was kind of exciting and a very good lunch. It's a fantastic sports bar in Edmonds. And let's see, I did have wonderful ransomware hit me on my main computer this week, and I was going to say, oh my, it comes up, freezes your screen, says they're from Microsoft. They found some problems and they were isolating all of your files, but don't turn off your computer. We have a phone number you can call and we'll help you out. So I immediately turned off the computer and just went about doing some other things for a while and had to have breakfast. Then I came back and fired up the computer again, and then I went to settings. And once you get to settings, all you have to do is go to update and security, and then from update and security you come up to scanning for viruses, and then you want to choose the one, turn off the router and scan all the files. Well, I do it one step farther. I unplug the router, then scan all the files, and that seemed to clean up the problem, and then it was gone. So that worked out pretty good. Oh my. And Richard with his mom, I wish her well. That life is full of all kinds of wonderful things that happen. Sorry to hear about that. But a nice internet meeting with your pulmonologist. And, wow, being a specialty to get 20 minutes a time. Fantastic. And Ron, happy birthday. And oh my, Bob with his FT8 and Whisper, that's good. And James with a car from hell. I mean, a truck from heck. Sorry to hear. It gave up the ghost for the alternator, but I guess things like that happen with old age. And let's see, that's about all I've got to take care of. So with that, we'll move it back up to Ron, KD7QKU in Tacoma.
And QKU here. Well, James, I had a Love pickup, and it was kind of doing the same thing. So I went down to Chevrolet and I talked to them down there, and they said, replace the horn relay. So the way the truck was wired, apparently the horn relay was in the circuit, and it kept, eating alternators. And so I replaced the horn relay, put in a new alternator, and no more trouble the rest of the time I had the truck. So crazy, but it worked. And let's see, so last Saturday, you know, my camera and stuff wouldn't work. So Bob, when you can, if you could switch me in so I can see if my camera work, and then if everything's working good. I don't guess I won't tonight, but maybe sometime I have use my grand stream and I can show you some video I have. So Wade came over on Sunday night evening, and of course I couldn't remember the password to the new modem. We'd gone to this Rainier Connect and we had new modems. Started out with one of mine, but then ended up with one of theirs. And so Wade had to, you know, completely shut the thing off and put in a new password and everything. He got that all accomplished. Everything seemed to be working fine. And then he went home and we turned on everything, and it looked like I could, show video through the grand stream if I wanted to. So I think it's working, but I thought maybe I have my camera plugged in, so I thought maybe a little test would be good. And then I happened to look at my phone. I have a security camera, and I can see it on my cell phone. Well, my security camera wasn't connected. So I got out the little manual, and it said you want to take it in by the modem, and then you want to do a reset, and then let it find each other, and everything would be fine. Well, it couldn't find it, so then I gave Wade a text. It was early in the morning when I was doing this. I think it was about 8 o'clock. I text Wade, said, hey, the security camera doesn't work. Maybe you could stop by sometime. And he texted me right back, and he said, can I come over now? So he came over, and he went back into the modem, and he had forgot, I guess, to open the port or whatever for the security camera. We did that, and the security camera worked fine. So, Richard, I'm really sorry to hear about your mother. We went through the same thing with my mother-in-law. She kind of forgot how to eat. She had eaten napkins and stuff. It was terrible. She'd sit on the table in the nursing home and she'd start eating the napkins and stuff. And then she forgot how to swallow. And that's, I think, what, they have Alzheimer's. They forget how to do things. So they put her in the hospital and just didn't feed her or anything. And we were just all, waiting for her to die. We had reservations to go on vacation in Hawaii, and so the family said, "Why don't you just go ahead and go?" We had waited about 2 weeks. I couldn't believe my mother-in-law could go so long without eating. My goodness, she must have went a month. It was terrible, really. So we went to Hawaii, and we hadn't been there more than 2 or 3 days, and we got a call saying that she had passed away. So we had to get back on the airplane and fly home. So anyway, that was my experience with that. So anyway, good luck on that, and we'll keep you in our prayers. I don't know, old age is terrible. So let's see, we're thinking about giving away our Jeep Liberty to my granddaughter. So I had taken the insurance off it a while back. Let me let it drop. Pulled it out this afternoon after lunch and taken everything out of it and taken the tow bar off of it and all that stuff. So it'll be ready to give away whenever we decide to give it away. Darn, my little tablet just quit. Maybe the battery's dead. That's where my picture was. So anyway, we got it all ready to go. And then my wife decided she's going to clean it out. So she got the vacuum cleaner and vacuumed it for an hour. She never cleans cars out. We're going to give it away. Why clean it out? Don't worry about it. You want to clean one out, clean out our new one. It needs to be vacuumed. So then I aired up the tires and brought it back in the garage. And so as far as I'm concerned, it's all ready to give away. Just my wife wants to go drive it. My wife gets attached to every car we've ever had, and they're always her favorite car. She doesn't want to give them up. So she wants to drive it around one last time. So maybe tomorrow she'll drive it around for a while, and then she'll be ready to give it up and take some pictures of it. That's usually what she does. So anyway, he's going to a good home. She worries about when we sell him, who's going to get him and what they're going to do to him, whether they're going to, haul chickens in the back seat or live in them or what they're going to do. All right, back to that KD7. Oh, that app I have, I got my phone here. So if you guys are listening or watching, I don't know if you can see it. Let's see, you probably can't see it. It's a little boat over there on the right-hand side, and it's called Marine Traffic. Marine Traffic. And it's real cool because down here, I can be down on the water, Tacoma, and I can open it up and it shows all the boats. You can touch on it, the boat, and it'll tell you the name, and then you can touch it again, it'll show you a picture, tell you more than you wanted to know about the boat. So anyway, it's a kind of a neat little app. So back to that, KD7QKU.
QKU, and again for some ID, this is the Western Washington Amateur Television Society net on the 08 machine. I'm Dave, KD7ZYM. I'll pause momentarily in case anybody else wants to join the net. Hearing none, again, this is the Western Washington Amateur Television Society net. I'm Dave, KD7ZYM. Well, let's go to Covington to Jim, N7QO.
Were you going to go to Bob next?
Good. Let's go to Bob, K9PQ.
Well, thanks, Jim. So let's see, the box, the mystery box. I'll bring it back up on the screen here momentarily. That is a Raspberry Pi, is what that is. It is a box with a big heatsink in it. Not a very big heatsink, but compared to the box and compared to the chip that it's sinking the heat from, yeah, it's a big heatsink. It's passive. There's no fan. So Raspberry Pi is basically a small computer. It doesn't run Windows that I'm aware of, but it does run Linux, and the two things that look like relays are the connectors for Ethernet. So for Ethernet cable to plug into, it's got two of them. It's also got HDMI, USB, and one or two other connectors, audio maybe. Yeah, it's just a little computer, and a lot of people use it for sort of very specialized or just hobby kind of things. I bought it when a friend of mine, let me go back to myself here. When a friend of mine was doing a project, actually the same friend, Chris, that I've been talking about that got me going with the FT8, and I thought I might want to do the same project. I never did follow through, so I don't really have a use for it at the moment, but it's a nifty little device. Let's see, Richard, that's really tough with your mom. We went through that with my mom as well. She had Parkinson's, and eventually she went into hospice as well. So I know it's a tough time. I wish you all the best with that. Good luck on the fantasy football. I hope you make it to the finals. And that was a wild Seahawks game. I didn't get to see it live, but I was able to see it delayed, so that was nice. I did get to see the game, and we were pretty lucky to pull that one out. I mean, we had the game won. We almost gave it away, but we ended up getting it in the end. So thanks, Ron, for that Marine Traffic app. I think I may have had it in the past. I'm not sure if I do now, but I'll download it. And by the way, that Raspberry Pi, the processor in there, you might have heard, it's called ARM, and it's what's in probably the cell phone you're carrying right now. It's in nearly every cell phone these days, and so it's that kind of a smaller, very small, less powerful than like on a big PC or even a laptop, but great for lots of little standalone projects. Well, Steve, oh, that's great you got together with Kingston Bill and Lee. Man, good on you for getting together. I would like to do the same here. And glad that ransomware turned out to be nothing that was a big problem. So glad to hear that as well. Okay, well, I'll send it back to Net, K9PQ.
K9PQ, I think I got my ducks in the right row now. Let's go to Richard, K7ITX.
All right. Well, thanks a lot, you guys, for your sentiments. It's very much appreciated. Yeah, it's kind of it's a weird experience. Luckily, I have a sister that is 11 months, 3 weeks younger than me. So there is 11 months, 1 week younger than me. So I do have a sister that we're the same age for 3 weeks, and so that's kind of fun. And she's a retired nurse, and she did a lot of hospice in her career. So, in fact, she even helped my dad when he passed away. He died from COPD. Not that I have COPD, but I probably have the reverse of COPD. COPD is what is it? You have a hard time getting rid of carbon dioxide, where I'm on the other side of the coin. I have a hard time getting enough oxygen. I can get rid of the carbon, but not. I have a hard time getting the oxygen. But thankfully, with guys like Noah back in New York, Dr. Noah, as I fondly call him, he is just, I don't know, as far as I'm concerned, he saved my life back in January when I was at my sickest, and kind of helped bring me back to life. And so I think he uses me as maybe an example amongst all the others. Sadly, there is a certain level of turnover in a group like ours, and so whenever you can be a good example, I think, and so my example, especially having just finished, in fact, coincidentally, yesterday was my final meeting. I graduated in pulmonary rehab from Auburn Hospital yesterday. I've been going there since May. And it's just, God, it's just taught me, and this was the example, and why we talked a lot today on the webinar, is because it's everything to extend your life through plenty of exercise. And okay, how do you and then the question is, how do you exercise correctly to where you really get a lot of benefit out of it? And the key with at least, a lot of these lung diseases is to not overextend yourself. You don't want to do that. That can create other problems like what is it called? Pulmonary hypertension. Is if you get into what they call hypoxemia or hypoxema, and you don't have enough oxygen in your bloodstream, and you do that over and over and over again, then eventually you get high blood pressure between your lungs and your heart, which is about as terrible as it can get. So it's just it's very interesting to learn how not to let that happen, and how really good concentrated specialized breathing and exercise that you have that helps you train and recognize not to desaturate, and to know how to get stronger and stronger. You know, you kind of up, on the treadmill or whatever you're using, you kind of up the ante each time. Not a lot, just a little bit more and more, stronger and stronger. Just like doing weights. Start out with 2.5 pounders, 5 pounders, 7 pounders. Next thing you know, you're doing 10 pounders, and then as you go. Right now, I'm doing that, of course, but I want to be able to get up and down off the ground, and if I need to, get under the car or under this or do that with the plumbing, I want to be able to do that. But you just don't do that overnight. When you got this kind of a scenario, it just takes training. So right now I am at the LA Fitness doing what's called we call it I can't even think, not boot camp, but Body Works. Body Works with specialization in abs. Gets you a lot of stressing and down on the floor and doing push-ups and that's that's a big deal for me to get up and down on the floor. In fact, it's really a big deal. In fact, it's such a big deal. I had a lady come up to me one time, suggested that maybe I would be better off in what they call silver sneakers, or it's an exercise for people that just sit in their chair. And I didn't want to get rude, but the last thing I need is exercise where I sit in a chair. I mean, it sounds okay, but that's going backwards for me. So anyway, thanks for that. It's fun talking about this stuff. It's like Dr. Noah said, he can tell I'm an adrenaline freak, and boy is he right. K7ITX back to net control.
ITX. Now we can go to Jim in the 7QO in Covington.
And 7QO, thank you, Dave. Well, Jim, it sounds like you have indeed scared away the critters. If the critters know what's good for them, they will stay away, and unfortunately, it sounds like they are smarter than the average critter. But that's good for you, so can't complain a whole lot about that. And truck, yeah, man. Is the alternator not putting out anything? Is it putting out AC? Maybe, I don't know. I had a truck one time that had a diode package inside the housing of the alternator, and that's what went bad, and I replaced that, and then everything was cool. But I don't know. Dave, ransomware, my goodness. Talk about a pain in the butt. I'm glad it wasn't something that turned out to be worse. I'm glad you took care of it promptly. Ron, thanks for that marine traffic app. I'll have to take a look at that. I remember Lee saying something about that way back when. I never thought a whole lot about it because I'm not really by the water for the most part, but that does sound like it would be something really cool to have. I have a number of apps on my phone that I never use. I could put something on the phone that I might be able to use. So thanks for that information. Let's see. Yeah, Jim, hard drive, 10 megabyte. I am not sure, but I think I have a 10 megabyte hard drive in a machine that I've got. I have a laptop, and you'd really call it a laptop. It's, I'm going to say, approximately 14 inches by 16 or 17 inches by about 4 inches thick. It has a large battery on it. It's a Zenith. I don't recall the model number. It's only a monochrome display, sort of like blue characters, and it came standard with two 3.5-inch floppies, but I got the upgraded version. Mine has one 3.5-inch floppy and one hard drive, and it seems to me it's a 10 megabyte, but I'm not 100% sure about that. I am sure the thing's still around here somewhere. I haven't seen it in a couple of decades, but I don't think I got rid of it, so I'll have to see if I can find the thing sometime when I remember. or maybe I should just forget about it. I don't know. Let's see here. And Dave, yeah, good to get together with Kingston, Bill, and Lee, and Bob. Raspberry Pi. Yeah, and I understand about not having a whole lot of time to do this or that. I have had so many good intentions to do things. I feel like I'm completely out of time now in my life. For me, what happened is when I retired, I was expecting I might gain some time. The only problem I have, let me reset. Problem I have is my wife retired a little before me, and so with my wife constantly home, well, the free time that I would have had, I'm spending with her or doing what she wants, and I'm not complaining about that. I'm just kind of commenting that one's free time can sometimes be elusive. So, oh well. And Dick, congratulations on completing your rehab, exercising your way to good health. Yeah, I'm sure that woman was just kind of trying to give you a suggestion to maybe help you out. I know a lot of people who, in fact, I've seen different exercise apps, exercise videos, and they say, well, if you think this is a little too much for you, instead of doing whatever, instead of doing it standing up, do this while sitting down. But yeah, you're kind of beyond that point. So I'm sure she's just trying to help. But good for you exercising your way to good health. Back to you, Dave, N7QO.
7QO, let's go to James, WU7N.
Richard, I would always say it's a good example to not die. I think you should keep that up, and that way they'll keep picking you out of the other 199 people on the teleconference. That's impressive. I've never been picked out of 200 people for a question before on any of those teleconferences. Well, Bob, I would not have guessed, because my world of Raspberry Pi-ism is the Raspberry Pi 4, and that's what that one looks like. Interesting, the slot at the bottom right below my thumb is for a camera, and I keep having the camera on Amazon in my, get it someday pile, because it's $10. I'm waiting for it to go like $9.50 before I buy it. Apparently there's an entirely different operating system you can put on this thing just to make it really cool with a camera. I don't honestly know what people do with that, whether they make robots out of it or what they do, but it's interesting that this top row here lets you connect all sorts of things that you would not want to connect with your really, your main computer. Coming through now. Okay. Well, anyway, I was saying this row on the top here, all these pins, they give you essentially access to the board. There's these two pins right here power a little bitty fan on there, so mine is active, it's not. And then on the end, it's got Ethernet, USB-A, B, and C, and on the side, it still has an audio jack. Yay, look at that. See, the kind that you plug in right here to headphones. And then I really splurged out. I not only got the nifty plastic box, but I also got the power supply with a switch on it. So yes, I was just totally out of control. So, and then in the end here, right here at the very end, is where you put in a little SIM, like a SIM-like chip. I mean, a little memory chip, a micro card. And that's where you get the operating system, where it boots off of. Pi is equivalent, I've read, equivalent to roughly a late 1990s, like a Windows PC in terms of its ability to do stuff. So you have to kind of, control expectations. I see Bob says his is a Pi 3, so this Pi 4, I think runs at 1.5 gigahertz or something along those lines. In later models, they up the speed a little bit. But you can cause the speed to go as high as you want, and people end up building these giant towers of heat sink to try and keep it from burning out and blowing up when they overclock it. And it's really kind of comical. I mean, people have entire cooling systems just try and suck the heat away from this poor little chip. It's like running your Volkswagen Rabbit at 200 miles an hour around the racetrack, without blowing it up. And it's always funny to see that because the board is, as small as you saw, and then the heat sink extends 8 inches up off the board as they try and, run fans and run sometimes liquid coolants around it and all sorts of things to try and get the heat off it. With that, I'm going to go ahead and turn it back to Dave on net control for the Western Washington Amateur Television Society. Go ahead, take it away, Dave.
7N, thanks for that. And for ID, this is the Western Washington Amateur Television Society net on the 08 machine. I'm Dave, KD7ZYM. Well, the Raspberry Pi thing is very exciting to see all you can do with that. Actually, I kind of like Apple Pie. It's just easier on you. You don't have to figure out schematic diagrams to do everything. Well, recently I just picked up an iPod, and I was really amazed in setting it up. It took all the files from my iPhone and put it on the iPad. I mean, even pictures, took in my contact list and all the programs I had on my phone. And then I found out when I'm hooked up to Wi-Fi, I can't make phone calls to other phones, but you can with VoIP with the pad. You can do voice and video contacts with other Apple people. So it will shake hands with other Apple devices. But that's it. So that was kind of interesting. Then along came an update 2 days ago, and I said, oh wow, I got to do an update. So I did that. The phone said it took 27 minutes to do the update, and it says, oh, we're ready to go again. So then I tried to fire it up, and then I found out, oh my Apple ID needed to be changed to a new ID. Then also I found out my Google ID had to be changed to a new ID. And then my Gmail came in and it wanted to know my new Google ID so I could get my email. So it was very interesting to do all that, to have to change your passwords so you get all of that ID and stuff. So it's up and running and seems to be okay at this point. So I'm really enjoying it. It's nice to be able to sit down in a chair and do everything that you've done on your main computer in a relaxed form. I'm looking forward to downloading some books next. I think that'll be the next excitement that I'll get into. And that's pretty much it. This is Dave, KD7ZYM. And so let's go up to Ron, KD7QKU.
Can you show it to us, Dave? Can you hold it up so we can see it?
I don't have it up in the shop. It's down in my leisure room, so to speak.
I was curious. All right, well, Bob switched me in, so it looks like my camera's working. Let me go over here and push this other button and see if my camera goes away. I guess I could be showing video now if I wanted to. There's a little bit of latency in it, that's for sure. I think we're just about out of time. I didn't make any more notes, I guess. So I'm just going to say 73s, and I'll see you on Zoom. KD7QKU.
87QKU, we got your 7-3. Let's go to Bob, K9PQ in Bothell.
Well, let's see. I guess I just have a couple minutes here. I downloaded I installed the Marine Traffic app. Thanks, Ron. And I believe I did have it before, but either it was a different one or it's gotten better, because this one does a lot more than the one I used to have, including, as you mentioned, taking pictures of the boat. The one I remember from before, it just kind of had a map, and you could poke at one of the dots on the map and find out what the boat was. But that's pretty cool. It can recognize it from a picture of the boat. They were talking more earlier. I forget what it was about getting older, and on a family thread, we were talking. We have some new grandchildren. Grand nieces and nephews to me, and so we're talking about diapers, and I said that I have never in my entire life had to change a diaper, and I said, that may change sometime in the future. Depends. All right, back to net, K9PQ.
PQ, well, we've got enough time to go to Richard to give us 7-3.
No, if I can follow that up, Bob, I'm pretty slow. I'll have to admit. I guess it depends on wherever you're coming from these days. So luckily, I'm not quite there yet. So thanks for that, Bob. That was perfect. So I'll just say 73 to everybody, and thanks for all the good wishes. With that, 73 again, K7ITX, back to net control.
ITX, and for Bob, changing a diaper with males, be careful. You could get a shower. Things happen. So, and it's time to sign off the net. This is the Western Washington Amateur Television Society net on the 08 machine. I'm Dave, KD7CYM. We'd like to thank the SeaTac Repeater Association for letting us use WW7STR's repeater 147.08. Specific tone of 103.5 for our nets. So on behalf of the Western Washington Amateur Television Society, this is Dave, KD7CYM, terminating the net at 9 o'clock. Good evening all.